Welcome to the another episode of Abstract Thesis series. In this series, we are digging deep into the Power BI concepts. If you have not subscribed, subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon so that you can get notification for our new video. Hello and welcome to another episode of Abstract Thesis series. In today's video, we are going to explore calculation group. The reason to explore calculation group is that over last few days you have asked few questions on community, which I think can be solved with calculation group easily. Now, one of the question which is very common is major slicer. Now, I have already created a video on major slicer where you can create an independent table and create a major slicer. But another option to have a major slicer is basically use the calculation group. So what is a major slicer? Like I have a gross, net and cogs. I have a slicer on that. If I select one of those values, it gets displayed on the table. Or another thing is if I select more than one, I can have gross, net and cogs, all three of them get there. Now the second problem which you have asked quite a few times is you want this kind of a display. Now there could be some row column values like brand and category can also be there, but you ask this kind of display. Now this is something really creating a question in my mind how to do that. So I thought that let's explore if we can do this problem also using calculation group. Now very recently you asked one more problem. Now the problem here is that you say, okay, I want net and cogs and then we should call it actual or target. Or maybe I call actual and target on the top and then I get net and cogs inside that. And then I can have something here, category 1, 2, 3. And this lead to one more problem which could be there, that we can have a grouping which is basically, this is entire major grouping. So this is what I call major to dimension conversion. So this is something inspired from this. So this could be something which can this be also be achieved. Now what I decided, I'll go and explore calculation group and try to see if I can achieve all of this using the calculation groups. So let's jump over to Power BI. Now I already have few measures like COGS, gross, margin and margin percentage. And those of you who are following my channel, you might have seen this video where I created these buttons like MTD, QTD, YTD, and you can have the major slicer working for that. So this MTD, QTD, YTD is there. There's a major name, and then based on that you can have that. Now so we can create a slicer like that. Now but what we wanted to use calculation group now. So what I've decided is I'm going to do that. I have already installed external tool tabular editor, and then using the external tool tabular editor, I'm going to click on it and it will open the tabular editor which is connected with my model. And once it is open, I can open my tables and see what the tables are there. And if I right click on the table, I will see option calculation groups, create new calculation group. And that's what we are going to do today. We are going to create calculation groups, and calculation group is going to enable so many things for us which we were unable to do using the normal table and column. So basically it will allow us major to dimension conversion. Now this is going to be very similar that way we have done manually the major to dimension conversion using major slicer, but something which we are going to use calculation group. So what I've done is I create a new calculation group and I call it major set. Okay, now inside this major set I'm going to create new items. Now there is a name which is there. Okay, and we can go and call it, let's say, selected major or select a major, something we can call. Now I'm going to add new calculation items. I just add, let me call it sales, and let me add here net, or better I call it net because I have net there. So I get net. I add another calculation item and I call it gross. I simply add it gross there. So I got net, I got gross, and then let me add one more which is I'm going to call cogs. And these are already there majors. Okay, and I give cogs here, COGS. All three measures are available with me in my data model, and I'm just adding them into a calculation group. And now these calculation I've done in the calculation group, and I go and save this button, and all these calculations are correct. Now we go to our Power BI and it say refresh now. So I go ahead and refresh it. So once I refresh it, I go down and I start seeing one table measure set, and there is something known as selected measure here. If I drag selected measure here, it shows me three values. So it means I can create a slicer around it. Now how to use this? For that, let's create a matrix visual. So we bring in category. So I go to my item dimension, I bring in category, and then I bring in my selected measure on column. Now it's not going to display, we need to give at least one measure here, and that measure will not hold much importance now because we have measures which are there. Now, so we got COGS, we got gross, we got net. Now if I click here, I can get the selected one, and if I do control or multi-select with control, I can get more than one. So this is my measure slicer. So I got the values using the measure slicer. Okay. Now what we can do here is can quickly validate these things. So I duplicate this table, Control C, Control V. I remove this, and let me only have a net, and you can see these values are correct values. So the calculation group is working perfectly fine for us. So now what it has done is, if we go back to the Excel, this is something which we achieved. So we can select one and we can get one. So, okay. So this target is achieved. Now comes this one, second one. I also need MTD, QTD, and YTD. Now this is something really interesting. Now to do this, we need to create the calculation group again. So, okay, we go to tabular editor and we open it. We see there is already a calculation group measure set. Now this time what I do is I create again a calculation group, but I'm not going to create this calculation group with fixed measure. I'm going to create it with dynamic measures. Okay, so I go ahead and on the tables I do right click and I say calculation group, and then I say TI, time intelligence, and then name here would be, I'll get a name here and I can call it, let's say, period. So I got period here. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to write a measure. So what measure I'm going to write down here is, I'm going to create a new calculated item here, and I'm going to write down, let's say, MTD. And what's my MTD is calculate, and then I'm going to use selected measure. Instead of taking the measure, I think take the selected measure which is there in the scope, you take that. So that's what I'm doing. And then I say dates, MTD, and I have a date table. So I say take data from the date table. And this is my calculation. I'm going to copy it so that I can simply go ahead and use that in other. Add new one which I call QTD. And here instead of dates MTD, I'm going to use dates QTD. And then I'm going to create one more which is YTD. And I'm going to go ahead and call this as YTD. So I got my calculation group. I got MTD, QTD, YTD, all can take selected measure, and then I save it. I go back to my model and I say refresh now. Now let me keep it here. Let me keep it here near to this one, and let me create a new table now. Okay, I create a new table now again, a matrix. I have this new TI which is period. I put it on column. I go here and bring in category from item, Okay, and it gives error because it is not getting a major, and I drag a major here, values. Bingo, I get it. I got MTD value, I got QTD value, I got YTD value. These are the values. And let me see, do I have a table? Let me bring in a table and see if these values are correct. So let's bring net here along with the, so let me convert this into a matrix visual. Year, quarter, month, year. Okay, so year wise net we should get this much, 866, 66596. That's the value we are getting here. And then QTD is somewhere around 7100. So we open this one because this is the last quarter and there is only 1 month, so we got these values. Fine. So this is working fine. So my current setup is like that. My calendar is ending where my data is ending. So that's why my MTD, QTD, YTD is working. If you don't know about this, watch my video around why time intelligence fails. You will be able to know that. Okay, but this is not something very similar to the second table now. And one more thing you can do here is you can add few more majors out here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove category from here and I'm going to add the majors. So I add net, I add cogs, and I add gross. Okay, and then I go and say show on row. So I get these values. Okay, these are my MTD, QTD, YTD value for net. These are for gross, cogs and gross. Seems like things are working for us. But and then if you want to play around, then you can go to this TI, you can bring period as a slicer, and then you can work with this period slicer, which you can say QTD only, YTD only, or you can select multiple of that. Now I thought about it. I say, can I combine those two calculation groups? So let's say this is, we call it CG. And I thought about it, can I combine these two? And with that thing in mind, what I've done here is I decided to create a new matrix where I've decided to take both these calculation groups. So I said I'm going to have selected major. I'm going to have this one. And then I went ahead and said, okay, let me put a major out here. Now, to compare these things, let me go ahead and bring these two tables together. Okay, order could be different with it because this would be this will be sortable because the order in which we take in the major, net, gross, and cogs. Okay, so we see similar kind of value in the net. We get this is net on all those. So we are able to use now two calculation groups, and we are doing, can I add some category or something like that, item and category? Let me play around with this. So I go ahead and add a category here and I expand it. Bingo. So I have categories inside that. I have majors and I have combination of this. Okay, you could do more. What you can do here is, now I don't need this table, so I delete it. And what I can do here is I can go and bring this major below the period. I can expand it. So the second thing is your MTD, cogs, gross, net, QTD, cross, gross, net, YTD, cross, gross, net. Or you want it above. Now what happens if I have a major? Like the other condition, I cannot move it up. Now, but in this case, I'm able to move it up and down. Okay, so I can move this up and down. Now, thing we should check here is our YTD value. That's correct. So, and this is very similar to this one, but it's not same as this one. Okay, Now here what you are asking, this major net has actual and target and cogs has actual and target. Now how do I do that? Because it is not like MTD calculation or QTD calculation where I do selected major and then do it. Okay, because these net and cogs, inside net there is a actual, there is a target, there is cogs, there is actual, there is a target. Basically there are four majors. Now here net and MTD could be major, but here I can use selected major and can use it. So what I thought is, let's do one thing, and this is I have done because I wanted to show one more feature, which is I'm going to now play around more with calculation group, something which is little bit more than what we do with calculation group. So what I've decided is I will go ahead and edit my calculation group. So let me see if my tabular editor is open. My tabular editor is open, and I go to this calculation group, and first of all let me show you I have few more majors here. So what I've done is I created this cogs target, net target and gross target. Okay, so let me copy one of that. I go here in the calculation group, new calculation item, cogs target. I go paste cogs target. I close it. Okay, let me do one thing. Let me close these, both of these, and let me open again. I close one of them. Let me close this one also. Let me open again. Okay. Now I come here. I look at major set. I go new calculation item. Cogs target. Then I go here. I call it net target. And then I create one more, which is gross target, and I give here. And I save these. Calculations are correct. We go and refresh this. Okay, so now you see more values out here. And now I don't need MTD QTD, so I can remove period here, only slicer. But you see the difference now. There is a cogs target, gross target, net target. It's not the same thing which I wanted. So we need to do a little bit more. And I thought about it, and I say it creates a table actually, isn't it? So can we play around with that? Okay, so what I have done here is I went to this table, which is major set, and I look at it, and I found this is a table which has been created here, and I decided that I'm going to play around with this table, and I'm going to create a new column here, and I am modifying the calculation group table a little bit. So taking a risk, and I say group. And I'm doing this, and I say if search selected major, search target in the selected major, comma 0 greater than 0, then call it target, else call it actual. So I got an additional group. Now what I can do here is I can go here, and now I need one more. Basically I need one something which is basically only contains this net, cogs and gross. So I need new column which is name. So I say where underscore one, which is equal to search target in the selected measure, comma this, comma 0. Okay, so this should give me the position from where we should start, and return if underscore 1 is equal to 0, then return the selected measure as return as left selected measure, comma underscore 1 minus 1, something like this, where white space is there. So some error is there. Okay. Okay, so I get net, gross, cogs and all those, and I just need to make sure that white space is not come, so we'll go ahead and check that out. Once we do this, it should tell us. So now in this table I got group and I got name, and I expand it, but the values doesn't seems correct now. So the value doesn't seems right here when I do both. The reason being the selected measure is not part of this one. Once I add this, now look at these values. So when I have this, now when I look at this, net is different, gross is different, this is different. So whatever we are doing, that will only look correct if we have these selected measure inside. So the way could be we can switch between the, so we can have this, and it cannot be hidden basically. So you can't go one level up and do this. Okay, so the moment you go level up, these numbers are same. So you have to do this. Okay, if you want to group this, this is something going to be a little bit difficult, because if you need name on top of it, and then you need actual and target. Let me remove the grand totals here. I don't need the totals here. So column subtotals. Okay, so now if you see, there is a gross, there is a cogs, there is actual, cogs, there is a target, gross, there is actual, gross, there is a target, and these numbers, if you see, these are same unless we bring in the selected measure. So unless you have the selected measure, they are not going to work out. Okay, so now what I can do here is that let's do one thing. Now let's take a help of an independent table now. So we go, we say enter data, and we call a column AT, actual and target. We call it actual, and we call it target, and we call it target slash actual. Copy this name. Okay, target slash actual AT, and I say load. Now what I want here is, if I create a calculation group now, then I need to switch my measure. So let me do one thing. Let me go to the external tools, open the tabular editor, and let me duplicate this one. Okay, major set, and I say duplicate calculation group, and I'll call it major set 1. I given a space this time, and I go ahead and delete these. Now what I say here is, in this table, and because I duplicated this, it actually taken the group name and this one, which I'll go and delete it there. Okay, so now I got net. So if I say if max of, this is my table name, AT equals to actual, then net, else net target. Okay, seems correct. And let's go quickly repeat this. And let's commit this one. And let me try to save now. It got saved. Calculations are there. Now we go, we duplicate this page. We go here, we paste it, refresh. Okay, now we are not going to take things from here. So we remove this. We only get net. So we got this new major set. Now these two columns in the major set are not useful for us. This major set. So major set, we got the selected major. So we got COGS, net and gross, but is it actual or net? We don't know. So what we need to do here is we need to bring in our new table, which is actual and target AT, and we bring it on top of this one and we expand this now. So we started getting value actual and target. So what we have done here is we taken one independent table, we taken one calculation group, and we have done this modification. Now these values seems correct, and now I can actually move this up and down also. Okay, so this is COGS, this is target, and what I've done is COGS target I moved by a little bit less, and gross target I actually moved it a little bit ahead, and actual net target also I moved a little bit ahead. Now these are my values, but somehow I don't trust that again. Let's look at this value. So our net value should be this one, and target is this one. Fine, this is correct, no problem with that. Okay, so these numbers are correct. Now, so we achieved the third one also. Now there are two ways. One way is not very successful, but what we are going to do is what we have learned there, we try to implement this here, standard and rolling, because in this case the formulas, on the top of the formulas we are not having any different kind of stuff, so might be we don't need an independent table here. Okay, so what we are going to do is we are going to enhance this calculation group where we have this MTD, QTD, YTD, time intelligence, and we are going to create new calculation group here, and we are going to call it R7, which is rolling 7, and I'm going to say calculate. What I'm going to do, I'm going to create this major first here, because let me first create this major here. Let me see if do I have a rolling major here. I have rolling this one, So I'm going to take this and I'm going to make it days actually. So day, and I'm going to make it -7. I'm going to remove this, and I'm also going to say selected major. So this is my R7. Same way I'm going to create new calculation item, which is R30. I'm going to make it 30 days. So date in period max date 30, and let's see what else we want. We want R15 also. So we go and create one more calculation group, which is R15, which is 15 days. So let's save these. We come here and we go to this page. It's giving some error. Now when we refresh, we got mtd, qtd, vtd. And why we are not getting, because we don't have value at the end for 7, so, and 15 for last 10-15 days. So let me go and get my slicer in now. I need new slicer where I should select month here. And I have data in May. Okay. So now you can see, and the good thing is when the data is not there, it's not showing that. So I have R7, I have R30, I have YTD. We don't get R15. Is it not saved? Okay, we did not name it as R15. Save it. Refresh. Okay, so we got the R15 also. So we got this now. Now again, grouping is required. Again, either the choice is independent table, or we modify that table. So now we go ahead and again try that out. So one time we have failed. Now second time we are again going to try out. So we go to TI, and this time again we'll say, okay, we'll try to modify this. So I say new column, and here let's say what we want. We want STD and rolling. Okay, so we say group again. So if search TD in period comma 0 greater than 0, then we call it standard, as we call it rolling. This is simple because otherwise I could say in MTD, QTD, YTD and all those. So standard and rolling. So we got that sorted out. Now let's copy this visual and come to a new page, paste it. It did not get copied properly. I copy this, I come to the page, I paste it here. And here I'm using 3 majors, so that's the second thing I'm going to correct. But let me correct this one first of all. So I got the group here, and the values may or may not be correct, but let's expand those. And we need to get all the values, we need a slicer also here. So I bring in this slicer, I paste it, I say okay fine, sync it, January 19. Okay, so we got our values, which is QTD, and if we go to the October 2020, we can validate at least few values. Okay, so these values are correct, and this is YTD value is correct, and rolling 30 is almost near to this one, should be correct. Okay. So we got this working. Now we click here and we remove these. We need to keep at least one. Now we go to the row, and there from actual and target we add 80. So this now goofed up because there is nothing which can handle actual and target. So now we go to our second calculation group, which is measure space set, which is handling this, and we bring in selected measure. And we don't want to drill on this one, we want to drill on rows. So now let's look at our value. So we got gross sales net, and the value which we know here is we need to check these values. So we have actual, gross on net, and then we have selected one September. Let's move to the October month where we know the value. So our MTD values doesn't seems right. It seems 8,608, and let's bring in simply the net value and check it out. So what we go do here is we simply bring in net here, simply bring in net here, and we convert it into card visual. What we are going to do is this actual. Now we have to see the actual value 713, and this is what is our net target value. So this is correct. So this is the actual value which you have said. Target is more than that, 71368. So the values are also correct. Okay. So now what we are able to do is we found out two methods. One is inside the calculation group also we can add new column, and we added one more independent table and use that into a calculation group and created this hierarchy. So the calculations group is also creating an independent table, and we further used one of our own choice of independent table, and we created this complex structure. Now this entire complex structure which you see here, please note that there is no dimension out here. It's all measures. All of them are measures. So the complete structure, rolling R15, R30, STT, standard, QTD, MTD, YTD, there is no single dimension here. This is all measure, and that is why I call it measure to dimension conversion. So do let me know how do you like this video. Suggest something else which we can do in this particular series. Thanks for watching this video. Thank you. Keep watching, keep asking questions in comments, subscribe to my channel and press the bell icon so that you can get notification for new videos. Thank you.